They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore.
Are you ready?
I want you to get mad.
I'm the best in the world.
First, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. Yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
That said, we've had enough. Please turn that fucking radio off. Ain't nothing on the airwave in the despair we feel.
This is Polly Punkneck, and you're listening to Not For Air Podcast.
Listen to this shit.
Welcome to a little online segment we like to call Jennifer and Bill's Not For Air.
That's because we can't talk about this stuff on the real radio because people might get too offended.
True. This is kind of like the show in the show. Welcome to Jennifer and Bill's Not For Air. It's our little mini podcast stuff we normally couldn't ever talk about because we don't have the time, and also we'd get in trouble if we did. So every once in a while in the Jennifer and Bill Not For Air podcast, we kind of bring up things that, Jen, I think one of the greatest things about the Not For Air podcast is we get to vent about stuff.
You mean I get...
You know, the Jen and Bill Not For Air podcast, sometimes, Jen, has to turn into a venting session. Sometimes it has to happen. A weekend edition of the Jen and Bill Not For Air podcast. Well, as everybody knows by now, Jen, the Jen and Bill Not For Air podcast sometimes just comes with clues. Well, Jen, I think everybody knows by now that here in the Jen and Bill Not For Air podcast... All right, in this edition of the Jen and Bill Not For Air podcast with Sunny 107.9 on the app, we're going to be talking...
Now, why does that sound so familiar to me? Oh, wait, because this is actually the Not For Air podcast, not some FM station's fucking little show after show. Oh, my God. So, yeah, this happened. Yeah. I'm a little, irked about it, but it's just... Here's a reminder.
And this is Matt.
So yeah, we finally have a name. We're not going to go into the whole thing, but we have a name now. Not For Air. You may have seen it on Facebook now that we got a page. It's got a robot.
So anyway, that's what I said to the guy. Not unless you could play the fucking theremin. Oh, we're on the air.
Yeah,
Jeff. So, welcome back to the JMJ Not For Air podcast. As you can see, you apparently caught us right in the middle of a three-man Not For Air podcast. I've got off to my left Matt Hickman and Justin Jordan, the usual suspects.
The Not For Air podcast.
JMJ Not For Air podcast, you talentless fuck.
I knew what it was. Welcome back to the Not For Air podcast, the JMJ Not For Air podcast. And we're here live with...
We're not live, we're recording
I know.
And we're back. That's right, the Not For Air podcast. No other initials, just Not For Air is back. Finally, after, a week, the Not For Air podcast. I'm Justin.
And Matt.
And that's it. There's just two of us again.
Polly Punkneck, and you're listening to Not For Air Podcast.
Oh, that's right. You heard it first. Polly Punkneck told you guys that she supports the Not For Air podcast. Hell yeah.
Well, it helps that we paid her.
Welcome back to the Not For Air podcast. I'm Justin.
And Matt.
And we are excited to be back. Today's going to be a good show. God, I hope.
Episode of the Not For Air podcast.
Welcome back to the Not For Air podcast. Straight jobs fell through, Matt.
Now, that's like from the first, I don't know, almost 20 episodes. But the point is, we've been at this for 5 years, all right? And sure, the band disbanded. Everybody went their separate ways in a lot of ways. But I kept going with the radio show, and I still have Not For Air, and I did like 3 episodes with Melissa a couple years ago, But now I'm back, and it's just like, okay. First of all, I get it. Podcasting's become this super popular thing now. Okay, everybody's doing it. But first, it was really celebrities and that kind of thing when the internet really started going bigger. So it was a lot of it mostly celebrities because they afford the radio time and it was online. And wrestlers do it now, which is cool. Stone Cold has it through the WWE and that sort of thing. Colt Cabana, which CM Punk was on. Adam Carolla, I think, was like the podcast king, or is. Joe Rogan has one. Kevin Smith. So a lot of it was celebrities. And a couple people were doing it through Blog Talk that weren't celebrities. It's starting to get it kind of going, and then we did it, too. So we're not the first ever, but we were the first ever of its kind here on the Treasure Coast. Pretty much all South Florida. I think Steve Rollman had some podcast or radio stuff before on FM. But I mean, like podcasting, I think we had it. But anyway, not that it matters. So, we did that, and it turned into the radio show with the music and the bands and whatever it is now, and Underground Horror Radio and all this other stuff. So, yeah. Not for Air is our name. That's what we call it. NFA, which is spray painted on my skateboard, for Christ's sake. I got a tattoo of my robot. The original design was the robot giving the finger that I drew up. You can tell it's a shitty drawing because I drew it. Doesn't matter. That's what it was. We did stuff at the Rockstar Bar. We did stuff at Mickey Finn's. We did stuff at fucking the Ale House a couple times. I made a bunch of videos. Redemption. All over. And then I ended up going down south to Respectables, and I did like fucking the Speakeasy in Lake Worth. I just did a couple things for Not for Air over at Propaganda and the comic book store Excelsior down there. So we've been doing this for a while. This station, Sunny, this is the Sunny 107.9, which is a South Florida station. People that own WRMF, the Triton Media, People Palm Beach Broadcasting, whatever you want to call it, which we talked about in the last one about with the buzz and everything. So they spell it not and the number 4 air, which is stupid with Jennifer and Bill, which is stupid because there's not 4 of them. When you have the number 4, it's like the Fantastic Four or the 4 fucking horsemen or the Wrestling 4 Horsemen, which had, I think, more members than 4. But anyway, woo, Ric Flair. So, or the 4 Horsemen podcast, which had 4 members. See? 4 used properly, not 4 air. You know why there's a 4 there? And this is just speculation. I'm going to go with the fact that somebody who put this together, some genius, Googled Not for Air podcast or whatever, and my shit came up, which it does. If you Google Not for Air podcast, all separate words, it comes up. If you put it Not for Air as one word, it really comes up. And so, yeah, I guess they saw that and was like, well, we can't call it that. We're going to call it Not for Air anyway. Okay, that's kind of a slap in the face in a sense. All right, cool. So they did that. Here's the thing that irks me more than anything. Not that they stole the name, which isn't theirs. It's mine. Especially if you put podcast on it. Or radio. Or underground. It's all... I own it all. I copyrighted all that shit. And trademarked it. So, with that... Their show isn't offensive. Now, you heard back there where they're especially like... we might offend somebody. No, your shit isn't offending anybody. It's terrible. And look, this is a station that plays like, let me go back to, what do they play on here? Crap? I mean, to me, it's crap. It might be good for older people. They play like, let's see what they got here. Michael Jackson, Kid Rock, which is the soft version with Pictured, Sheryl Crow, Wham, Taylor Swift, Paramore. Yeah, top 40 stuff. Bruno Mars, Matchbook 20. Okay, they play a bunch of stuff. Dido, thank you, for Christ's sake. So, okay, that's what they do. Great. And their show is pretty, tame compared to stuff that I've said or done, or even some rock stations. It's not really a rock station, so it makes sense. So they wanted to make this podcast, and what was the first thing they said? Here it is. Welcome to a little online segment called Not for Pills, Not for Air.
That's because we can't talk about this stuff on the real radio.
On the real radio. First of all, which bugs me too, is the real radio. You could have said the regular radio, the FM on the airwaves, the real radio. Because now you're insisting that like podcasting isn't real, or whatever, and that's just stupid too. Because that's just a load of nonsense. Because it is real, or else you wouldn't be fucking doing an after show podcast, and you certainly wouldn't be stealing my name. Come on, you piece of shit phone. Anyway, so there's that whole thing. That's a thing. So there's that. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, it's just, like the fact that you fucking did it at all is stupid. But you're not even offensive. Like I listened to, okay, they got like, what, 8, 19, 20, 21. By the way, they're all like maybe less than 10 minutes long. They have like, guests on there or whatever. It's fine. It's good for what it is, but it shouldn't be called Not For Air. It should be called like, well, they can't say After Show Podcast because Kevin and Virginia have that on the other station that's owned by the same conglomerate, so whatever. They could have done something like Bill and Jennifer and Bill's, I don't know, uncensored, even though it's not. I guess they'd get in trouble if they said that. Because there's nothing really bad on there. I didn't hear, if it's really Not For Air, you would have things like one of your high school friends coming on and talking about cutting a motherfucker if they ever saw him again. So that was great with Gentile. Miss you. There was the time we're at the Rockstar where we talked to some drug addict meth head and I think it might have been his hoe. He might have been a pimp. I don't know. And we were talking about Magic the Gathering, and then it went talking about Ass to Mouth and that kind of shit, which is, whew. So that was a thing. So, time me and Matt cussed out the scene, Rainings and Ravings, Macho Man Dragons, whatever. So, that stuff's Not For Air. Like, those shows could never have been aired without a lot of editing because of the shit that we said. We talked about the Doctor Who porn parody, which is awesome. So, and not in a clean way. So, it is what it is. And so their stuff's all clean, and I think she said bitch and damn, which maybe on their station's a sin. So they have an after air, but they could have called it something else. It doesn't have to be Not For Air. For Christ's sake, there's already a Not For Air in the Treasure Coast in South Florida. It's fucking my show. And now you're fucking with my thing, and it's pissing me off. But it's whatever. I mean, I can't do anything to put a 4 there. So it's like, the wrestling rule of thumb, where you change the music on TNA just enough where WWE doesn't sue you. Or you change the name. Like, they own the rights to Rhino, which is like RHINO from ECW. So he put a Y, even though it's the same name. So, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, there isn't really anything I can do about that, I guess. But when they have it playing and they go, welcome to the Not For... That sounds, well, as you heard, similar to my shit. And that actually really kind of irks me. Because we didn't have a segments and little thing we wanted to do for our station. It was simply, this is the show. We have a name. It makes sense. We kind of cuss a lot. We talk about stupid shit, and then it ended up being music, which I can't air anyway because half the time it's punk rock swearing. And bands like the Cock Blocks, which great name, or the Fuckers, great name. Mr. Clinton and Pink Sick. I mean, fucking cool shit like that. It's punk rock. It's supposed to be offensive. The show's supposed to be offensive. That's what it is. Fuck it. That's cool. So, I don't know. I guess naming something's hard because, you got to come up with names. You got to Google shit for names now because, it could be taken, and that's cool. I get it. So, I mean, but Christ almighty, let's just take a second to think. They got two people and they talk about stupid shit, which isn't too different from the show, actually. Especially the way it was, but it'll never be duplicated. That's for damn sure. So, they're talking about stupid shit. It's after their show. It's a little... And they're giving away prizes. Whatever. So, they got Sunday Mornings with Jennifer and Bill. Okay. So, they need a name for an after-show podcast. Why couldn't they just call it the Jen and Bill Podcast? Well, yeah. Why couldn't they call it something like that? Like, let's call it the After Sunny Podcast. Something like that, for fuck's sake. Well, Not For Air. Which clearly is for air. I could play that stuff on FM and get hired. I can't play this shit on FM and get hired. I know that. And the whole point with making the show was so I can practice into getting back in the radio. And that's all I want to do is go and work for a radio station. You know, it hasn't happened in 5 years because I've been doing other jobs and keeping on with this. And really, it's because they want me to go to school and pay like $13,000 to learn this shit I already figured out on my own without going to school, but whatever. And it's because they're getting kickback from the radio stations, like a hiring thing. We don't need to go into that right now, but that's pretty much what it is. And you know, it is what it is. So with that said, I just, you know, it's stupid, and it's not FOR Air podcast, not in the fucking number 4. There ain't 4 of you, and don't put 4 of you on down there in case you listen to this. But you know, it's okay, it's fine, because here's what's going to happen. Because I have more. This show is known more than this other one because of Google. People are, and they probably have like, you know, Christians or who, I don't know, maybe somebody that doesn't like getting offended, you know, listens to their station. So it's so clean. And they're going to go on the Google and type in, "No, Not for Air podcast." And they'll click on mine and they'll listen to it. And then they'll have a heart attack maybe, or fucking, who knows. They'll lose their mind and go, "Oh my God, it's so offensive." Ah! And I'm like, it's not for you. It's like it's not for kids. You know, I never said that. It's just, it's not for our podcast. We talk about shit we're into and all that kind of thing. And I say fuck a lot and call people names. But anyway, it's stupid. So this is what they're doing. They have a cute little picture of them with the little censor bar around their mouth because they might have said darn or damn. Shit. Yeah, the fucking robot as a censor because the robot calls people names. Cocksucker. But but anyway, fuck it. You know what? That's whatever. Enjoy it. If anything, I'll get more publicity out of it, I guess. And it kept the show going again, right? But yeah, Not for Air podcast with Jennifer and Bill. Yeah. No. I'm going to make a new intro where it's like, we have a little segment we like to call the Not for Air podcast, the original version. Not some fucking FM station trying to ride the podcast train because they know that fucking radio is going to be all online soon. It's kind of dying. Oh, it is. That's fine by me. And, you know, that's fine. And they're on Podbean, which I should be on Podbean probably. Didn't think about that. I hope they're not getting paid for Podbean for having the name, because then I'll really get like fucking irked. Bad enough they're making money, like they work for a radio station and then they fucking slap the name on there. That's just fucking great. You know, here I am fucking doing, whoa. I mean, no, let's be clear. I respect the fact that, because this person that's on here has been on the radio forever down here. I'm not taking that away. I think they used to be on a different channel, Darby and Mara for whatever it was. And that's completely cool. I totally respect the fact that they put in time in the industry. I want to be in the industry, or I did. I don't know about now with this shit, but you know what I mean? Like, I get it. But somebody fucking knew better. Because if they didn't, there wouldn't be a 4 there. Unless they really wanted to put not 4, the number 4 air, to be completely different. Maybe that was the case, but still it's the same fucking name, no matter how you fucking say it. It's still Not for Air podcast, which I fucking own. So I'm still irked. You know, whatever. So that's that. Isn't that funny? Jesus. So anywho, whatever. There it is, everybody. That's my piece on it. You know, I honestly don't want you to write them hate mail or give them a bunch of shit, corporate lawyers or some shit, and they'll get up on your ass, and I don't want that. I don't want you all to fucking get in trouble for me because they took my fucking name of my show that I've had for 5 years, and, you know, it pretty much molded everything to what things are now. You know, I have a wife and whatever else, you know, because I'm the name, and I, you know, want to help her. Anyway, the point is, you don't have to do that for me. Just listen to the show. Listen to Not for Air Underground Radio on Podunk on Thursdays and Metal Zone Radio on Tuesdays. Listen to Underground Horror Radio on Saturdays on Podunk on the website. You know, just do that stuff and I'll be all right. This is cool, but, you know, I hope they know that the name isn't. It's probably cursed. It's going to give you a lot of shit. Trust me, I've been through 5 years of it. I'm too stupid or too fucking pig-headed to ever stop. But I have commitment to it, and I love it. I'm the radio guy. So, anyway, peace out.